Time now for a conversation regarding COVID-19 with Dr. Isaac Bogosh, infectious diseases specialist at Toronto General Hospital. Dr. Bogosh, good to be speaking with you this morning. So let's start with this. Ever since COVID-19 emerged, there have been people looking at its impact on our hearts, from the virus itself, of course, then to the vaccine. Now, a recent study in Nature Medicine found rates of conditions like heart failure and stroke were substantially higher in people who'd recovered from COVID than people who never had it. Kind of seems like another reason to try to avoid getting it if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree. We should be avoiding COVID and taking steps to prevent infection. And even if you've had an infection, you should be preventing yourself as much as you can from getting a second infection. I think one of the interesting, points of this is that, yes, we know COVID doesn't just impact the lungs. It can impact many other parts of our body, including our blood vessels, our hearts, our brains, our kidneys, other aspects of our body. But the other important point is that this isn't new. Right? We know other respiratory viruses do the same thing. There's a long history of research on influenza and a rise in heart attacks post-influenza infection. And, I'm not trying to take anything away from COVID. COVID's very serious. Of course, it's more contagious, it's more transmissible, and more people have it. More people can get it. That's why this is not only an issue, but it's going to continue to be an issue. As always, better to have fewer infections than more. Take steps to prevent COVID for lots of reasons, including cardiac issues that can happen after infection.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to this. This is new just in the last 24 hours or so. The federal government has stopped shipping rapid COVID-19 antigen tests to provinces and territories. Now, some are expiring, and there are questions if they pick up the latest strains. Are we losing potentially a valuable tool, or are these rapid tests maybe no longer that useful?
I think they're useful, and I think there's some people that are still using them. Listen, it's obviously not the same as it was before, but I think for some people, when they're ill or if they feel unwell, they can do a rapid test. If some people are going to be gathering with vulnerable populations, vulnerable individuals, they might want to do a rapid test before, because they don't want to bring COVID into a community or into an area where there might be more vulnerable people. It's really disappointing to hear that. I think obviously there is a place for these rapid tests. And it's always good to have tools in the toolbox. Yes, fully appreciate that many people aren't using them anymore, but I think some people are, and it's important to give them the tools for success.
Right. Okay. And let's wrap up with this. Turning to the story now about COVID-19 being the result of a lab leak. This is from U.S. officials and not from a wet market, et cetera. Now that it's out there, it's been spreading for 3+ years now. Does where it originated actually matter, or could it be helpful perhaps to further researching it and to treating it? What's your reaction to all of this?
Yeah, a few points. I think full disclosure, I don't have an opinion on this because I just don't know. And certainly there's very valid arguments and valid points for a natural origin. Of course, we heard valid points for a laboratory leak. I think it does matter. The other take-home points, regardless of the origins, is that we have to have safe and standardized laboratory procedures, because we know lab leaks, of course, can happen and have happened in the past. And it's extremely important that labs around the world are taking all the necessary precautions to prevent this from happening, regardless of if this was natural origin or a lab leak. I think that's a key take-home point for me.
All right, that is Dr. Isaac Bogosh joining us again this week. Thanks so much. We know you couldn't make it on Tuesday. Appreciate you being here Thursday, and we'll chat again next week. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.